You ever watch a coin tread water for years and then threaten to blast off like it had just borrowed SpaceX's entire launchpad? Well, hold tight, because the squiggles on the XRP's chart are teasing a move that could make 2017's mania look like a kiddie ride at the county fair. Now, this might just shock you, but I am not a financial advisor and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. Your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses. And this video today is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Okay, so that's the disclaimer safely out of the way. Picture this, it's 2013 and a trader named Pepa is kind of hunched over a creaky laptop that runs hotter than a Dubai sidewalk in July. Now, he's watching XRP tap dance between fractions of a penny and, well, 2 dimes. So most of us were kind of debating whether Bitcoin itself was real, yet Pepa was, busy sketching lines, jotting Fibonacci levels, and basically predicting a future that sounded like science fiction. You fast forward to right now, and XRP's slipped from a kind of wicked January spike back to what chart nerds politely call consolidation. Now the price, right now at the point of recording, around $2.30. And up from, just $2.10 a few days ago. Now, nothing crazy in percentage terms, 2% here, 4% there, but veterans know that calm candles can be the calm right before the rocket roar. And so, what exactly is Pepa seeing on that kind of infamous chart? Well, let me lay out the kind of breadcrumbs that he's been following for almost a decade. Now, he starts with the kind of ancient history, the 2014 type ancient, right? XRP peaked around 12 cents back then. The first time many of us realized, hey, decimals can be worth something sometimes, right? And that, at least from that kind of summit, it rolled downhill to 0.4 of a cent. Now, for context, that's like dropping a scoop of ice cream and watching it melt into the Sahara. It's pretty brutal. But the disaster kind of formed Pepa's kind of zero line on the Fibonacci scale. Then, in 2017, the summer of ICOs, fidget spinners, and me discovering noodles in a kind of fact of food kind of group here, and XRP shattered the downtrend and sprinted to 39 cents. That, according to his math, was the mysterious 7 fib level. You can cue the long buffet of sideways chop, and people kind of called XRP boring, but boring is just a kind of veil that markets wear before they party. January 2018 rolled in and XRP screamed all the way to $3.40. Boom. And here is where it gets spicy. Pepa, believes the exact same dance routine is replaying on the big stage, just scaled up. So remember the $3.40 peak or $3.80 peak, depending on what chart you look at, from 2018. Well, that became the kind of starting whistle for a fresh descending trend line. XRP spent 6 downright frustrating years zigzagging beneath that ceiling until November 2024, when it punched through like a Kool-Aid man, revisiting $3.40 by January this year. And then another pause, consolidation. Picture a slingshot being pulled back so far that it creaks. Now, Pepa's thesis is that once that kind of rubber band finally snaps, we rocket to the next 7 fib level, which he calculates at roughly $23.94. Now, for that to happen, XRP would need to leap about 932% from where we sit at the point of recording. Outrageous, maybe, possible, or impossible. Bitcoin, laughed at the same kind of math back in 2015. Now, Enter EGRAG Crypto. This is another analyst with the kind of laser eyes that could cut glass. Now, EGRAG isn't just, eyeballing price. He's stalking XRP's entire market cap. Now, on the kind of chart, he spotted what he's called the giant kind of W pattern. And yes, it's the kind of same shape that kids will make when they kind of, discover the double U, right, in cursive. Now, in market speak, though, that W, it mirrors a cup and handle, right? Power kind of build up, tiny dip, and then boom. Now, EGRAG's conservative take puts the measured move at a $270 billion market cap, equating to around and about $4.50 per XRP. Now, this is modest compared to Pepa's kind of moon math, right? Well, buckle up, because EGRAG's optimistic logarithmic extension, which is, a fancy way for just how you draw the chart, it actually pegs the potential at $1.5 trillion in market cap. Now that's a $25-ish kind of per coin, and stinkingly close to kind of Pepa's $23.94. So when two different analysts using two different and totally different toolkits land on very similar numbers, well, my spidey sense does a kind of little two-step. And so here I am, caffeine coursing through my veins, staring at the charts and remembering the first time that I heard double-digit XRP. And back then it kind of felt like daydreaming about teleportation. But today, mainstream outlets hardly actually blink when a trader says 20 bucks. And it sounds pretty wild, right? But hold up. There's a gigantic, relatable problem. Patience, right? XRP's vibe tests, even the kind of chillest hodler's zen. So it kind of reminds me of that one friend who says that they'll be there in 5 and shows up 4 hours later with Starbucks. Sure, you love them, but you're starving by the time that they actually arrive. So it's the same vibe with XRP, right? Long stretches of sideways boredom followed by blink and you miss it explosions. So how do we survive those deserts? That's the challenge, right? Some folk kind of scalp tiny moves, others kind of set alerts and just go on with their lives. Personally, I treat consolidation like a meal prep Sunday, right? It's tedious but crucial. And if I'm not prepared emotionally or financially, when the move finally arrives, then I'm the guy in the corner scrambling to cook dinner at 10 p.m. while everyone else is, planting steak. Okay, let's open the hood on Pepa's calculation so that you can decide if it's rocket science or drunken doodle. Now, Fibonacci levels are ratios found in nature, right? Pine cones, hurricanes, even your favorite spiral galaxies. Now, traders, they smash those ratios onto the price charts. They whisper magic 3 times and voila, potential support and resistance zones. I joke, of course, but Pepa's 7 fib level, it is not random. It's actually simply 7 rungs up on that kind of ratio ladder from the baseline. So he kind of chose back in the 2014 bloodbath era. Now, in his eyes, history has already validated this approach once before. First breakout in 2017, second in 2025. And history tends to rhyme louder than a Dr. Seuss audiobook. Meanwhile, of course, the W pattern on EGRAG's market cap chart is basically collective psychology on a splashy canvas. So you got to think of 2 giant kind of scoops, dug into a beach, right? Wave 1, crashes. That's the first scoop, right? Buyers kind of regroup, middle peak, and wave 2 crashes again. That's the second scoop. And then, everyone's kind of storms back like, beachgoers rescuing their umbrellas. The measurement and the measured move simply copies the distance from the bottom to the neckline and flips it above the neckline and says, this could be next. It's the chart geometry, not fortune telling. And yet, none of these kind of glittery targets matter if liquidity drives up, or regulators decide to kind of play whack-a-mole. XRP's ongoing tango with the SEC still lingers in the background. Technically, XRP is clearer in the kind of US than it was, but no one's kind of stamping guaranteed on its forehead. And if there's one thing that I've learned since my first crypto purchase, is that using a sketchy exchange that looked like it was coded in Microsoft Paint, it's kind of this. Narratives move markets until reality hits the fan. Now, speaking of exchanges, here's a quick plug. If you want to trade XRP or any other shiny asset or coin that we obsess over, then you probably want to check out the Blofin crypto exchange. Now, the link for this is in the description, and it is an affiliate link that supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which means that if you sign up and start trading over there, then this coffee-powered content machine gets a little tiny slice of the pie. Right? So thanks in advance for keeping my caffeine addiction alive and well. Now, here is a fun fact. Back in 2018, I legit sold my PlayStation 4 to buy more XRP. Not because I'm a genius, but because I'd spent so many nights watching charts and totally forgot video games even existed. Now, the big kind of bag kind of rode a roller coaster up to $3.40 down to sub 50 cents and sideways for a very long time. And I considered kind of farming the charts as modern art. But, and it's a big but, was this experience becomes the teacher, okay? The only kind of trades that I actually regret are the ones that I made out of boredom. Right? Like flipping XRP for Taco Bell money in 2019. Now, if I had just gone outside, I'd touched some grass and waited, I might still have that stack today. So, Peppermint Stick Pepa, and yes, he knows that nickname, says that the next 3 weeks are critical, right? He expects this consolidation to coil to unwind soon, pushing the price towards the first milestone of around $5 to $6. Now, by this metric, that's the kind of gate opening sprint towards the attempt, at least as we attempt, $23 area. Now, will it happen this month? The charts don't own a calendar. My friend is very much up for negotiation. Now, everything in crypto arrives, in my opinion, fashionably late. Meanwhile, of course, EGRAG's W formation suggests that once market cap retests its neckline, roughly around 120 billion, that we could actually see a hefty thrust towards 270 billion. The translation, double-digit XRP starts to look more plausible than a unicorn frappuccino. And if hype, adoption, and cross-border payments use cases all line up, well, we might start flirting with a $1.5 trillion dream. Just remember, flirting does not equal marriage. And here is a golden nugget that many overlook. Supply. Unlike Bitcoin's strictly capped 21 million coins, XRP's supply dynamic is unique. The escrow releases, the locking mechanics, the burn mechanisms by certain projects. The one kind of major bank deciding to funnel remittances through RippleNet could actually accelerate demand overnight. But in markets, could is a very slippery eel, so handle it with care. All right, let's bring this down to the sidewalk. Just imagine that you and I walk into a diner and I slam 3 pancakes onto the table, representing Pepa's kind of stages, right? The cash stack, the breakout stack, and the moonshot stack. Now, if history repeats, we're on pancake 2, chewing through, syrupy consolidation. Pancake 3, that's the $23 topping. Now, it might taste glorious, but you need to keep enough appetite, aka dry powder and emotional stamina, to dig into it when it actually lands. Otherwise, you'll watch other kind of Patreons devour it while you're stuck ordering black coffee. Okay, here's a side story. Last month, in our free educational Discord server, the link for that is chilling in the description down below, we hosted a Fibonacci Friday. A newcomer kind of shouted, "Why do traders keep worshipping these magic numbers?" And by the end of the session, they were drawing spirals on their notebooks like they were discovering a Da Vinci Code. Now, there's a true story. community learning, it beats doom scrolling alone. So come and hang out with us, right? We will break down the charts with you, we'll roast bad takes, and of course occasionally share memes of XRP dressed as a frog in rocket boots. Don't ask, just join. Okay, so nitty-gritty stats before we hit the peak of the roller coaster, right? Current price is roughly around $2 and some change, give or take, market burps here or there, and some intraday volatility, right? 7-day gains around 3.94%. That's your appetizer, right? Needed rally to kind of hit Pepa's 7 Fibonacci level is a spicy 931.9%. EGRAG's measured move, target $4.50 XRP, that kind of climbing to $25 in the full logarithmic kind of prophecy does trigger, of course, big if. Now, market cap thresholds here, right? After all, market cap is just macro level pricing, so it's the same as the price, just, at total coin level. $120 billion neckline, $270 billion first moon stop with a $1.5 trillion absolute party zone, right? Now, you got to picture all of those numbers. They're big, they're juicy, they're wildly seductive, but there's a villain lurking here, and that's confirmation bias, right? When we want something so bad and we want it to happen so much, every green candle looks like prophecy is fulfilled. Now, I've caught myself celebrating a minor uptick like it's the second coming of crypto Jesus. And that is when I remind myself of a rule that I stole from poker. Play the long game, not the hand, right? Set targets, set stops, and refuse to YOLO just because Twitter went full bull mode. Okay, time for a quick laugh break. Remember early 2024 when XRP to 589 was trending all over once again. Now, someone asked me if that price was random. I joked and said, nah, that's just how many espresso shots that you need to stay awake until it actually happens. Spoiler, nobody has yet reached that caffeine quota. All right, let's zoom to our narrative climax, right? Imagine the next 3 weekly candles, right? Week 1 inches upwards, week 2 breaks above a key horizontal level, let's say $2.90, and week 3 fireworks. Right, suddenly the news wires, light up and XRP breaches $5 amid bullish breakout. Exchanges kind of freeze for maintenance because of course they do. And, Twitter spaces turn into all-night therapy sessions. And your college roommate who ghosted you since 2018 texts you saying, bruh, should I buy now? That moment right there is the tipping point between euphoria and disciplined strategy, right? If you plan to kind of trim, $5, you better stick to that plan. If your goal is long-term utility adoption, maybe you kind of recalibrate, but make sure that it's your plan. Not crypto bro #7429s on TikTok. Now, time for a deep breath. Here's perspective, right? If you'd kind of bought XRP at 0.4% in 2014 and held through shoulder shrug years, you endured roughly 8,000% upside by 2018. Yet half of that world kind of dumped the bag on the way up or down. Now, the edge isn't predicting the target, it's enduring the journey. Markets sprinkle gold for those who actually wait with a still stomach. Oh, and of course, speaking of enduring, you have have you checked out the Blofin yet? Use the affiliate link in the description down below, snag the sign-up bonuses, and you'll kind of help the channel keep pumping out these late night chart therapy sessions. And of course, the FTC wants me to be very straight with you, right? That is an affiliate link, right? Meaning that, we earn a commission if you click it and you trade on their platform. But you pay exactly the same, right? There's no extra cost to yourself. It's just a win-win situation. And so what are my takeaways? Well, Pepa's 7, Fib Dream and EGRAG's Mega W, they are not certainties, right? They are roadmaps updated with every single candle that prints. So you got to watch the volumes. You've got to track the broader market sentiment, and you've got to keep tabs on regulatory headlines, because one court ruling can either grease the runway or glue the wheels to the tarmac. But Most importantly, build a plan that you can sleep on. And if that plan includes chilling in our free Discord, smashing the Blofin link, or just kind of scribbling Fibonacci spirals in your diary, do whatever you want to do, right? In the kind of marathon of crypto, self-awareness is the mile marker #1. And so, my friend, here is where we land the plane. XRP's chart is whispering an encore performance that could redefine double digits. Whether it delivers or detours, the next 3 weeks promises enough drama to kind of binge like a full season of your favorite TV show. So grab your popcorn, make sure to keep your seatbelt fastened, and remember, sometimes the biggest gains come to those who survive the boredom without pressing random buttons.